So it's Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. I'm headed to Chesterfield, baby. I'm gonna make some money today. My goal's 300. Yesterday I made $299.69. We're gonna round that up to 300. I'm glad I didn't stick around to do a terrible delivery to get it up over 300. I kept the apps on, but nothing popped. So that's why you should watch the channel. To make 300 on a random Monday is pretty nice. And we try to talk about how to do that. But that's not really what this video is about. This video is about why are we even here? Why is an old guy, 55 years old guy, who's been in management his whole life, doing DoorDash? You know? Why are so many people just quitting their jobs? Saying, I quit. That's how I got here, right? We'll get into that. But I want to talk about a job interview I had last Tuesday. So I had kind of a family crisis last Tuesday, and I'm driving to go take care of it. And this really reputable company that's nationwide, that most of you have heard of, I'm sure, calls me in the middle of the crisis and late. They called me late. And then I called them back, and then they called me back. I finally got to talk to them. And I'm honestly excited to talk to them because I'm thinking that they're on the level. You know, and I'm looking for a company that's on the level. Because I've worked for a couple companies that weren't in the last year. So we're in the middle of the interview, and we get to the schedule. And she says it's from 5:30 in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. I said, what? Yeah, she said it's our peak season. I go, oh, okay. So it's 13 and a half hours? She said, yeah, we want to be transparent. Transparent about what? That you're horrible? That you've got a schedule set up for a human being to work 13 and a half hours straight? And we all know that is probably worse than that. That's what they're telling you up front. I mean, I understand, you know, if you're a doctor or a nurse or something similar, I mean, those people are heroes. But even they, firemen, even they have bedding and housing, you know, you can take a nap. You know what I mean? Because what about even the safety of it? That you're going to work 13 and a half hours and just drive home? I mean, you can't stretch that out a little bit, make it a two 8-hour shifts, maybe get a little more production out of this position? Because just think about it. What kind of production are you going to have out of a manager that 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th and a half hour? It's insane. What kind of home life are you going to have? You're going to, let's say it takes you 30 minutes to drive there and back. You're up to 14 and a half hours. That gives you 9 and a half hours to live every day. If you're going to sleep 7 of those hours, that gives you 2.5 hours a day during the peak season. And some of us know that the peak season, for a lot of industries, is all the time. Because it's stuff like this. Who's going to stand a job that they're working 13 and a half hours? And what's the schedule during the non-peak season? But we didn't get that far. Because I'm not working 13 and a half hours a day on purpose. Salaried. Because then, of course, my next question, how much does this job pay? And it doesn't pay as much as I make some days doing DoorDash. You know? It barely pays $300. I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to be unprofessional. But unbelievable, man. And then these corporations are asking, like, we don't understand why we can't get employees, and we don't understand why employees are quitting. They're blaming it on the employees. People don't want to work. No, they don't. They don't want to work. They don't want to work 13 and a half hours for less money than they can make DoorDash. Yeah, you're right. yeah, just a little bit more, baby. It's close. It's really close. Crazy. If you work 6 days doing DoorDash, you can make more money than that. You know, and that's how old man River DoorDash got here, man. Stuff like that. One of the companies I worked for the last year, again, I'm not going to mention any names, and they're not near as famous or reputable or any of that, but they did work at a famous company. They did freight for a famous company that's well known, really well known. Maybe not quite as well known as the company I interviewed with on last Tuesday, but pretty well known. And here's why I quit that job. You put in the comments if you would have stayed working there. So they in the interview process said, yeah, you work, during the day. They said that I could, in the interview process, they said that I could do a hybrid, that the last guy would go home at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Stuff like that, and then I get there, and they didn't even set my email up for 6 weeks. But I'm the bad guy. I'm using the previous guy's email to work there. How unprofessional is that? So, of course, I look at the guy's emails, and one of the emails he sent to the owner of the company was, hey, man, I can't work 24 hours a day. And then I see his resignation email, and the owner's like, hey, I'm gonna set up something so you're not on call. Well, I'm gonna set up something on the weekend. Doesn't even mention at night. But there's another guy that I'm working with, and he says, I don't understand why he doesn't set up on night on call too. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. And I was making just the amount of money there that this last company offered me, within a couple thousand a year. So, and this ain't the first time this happened. Matter of fact, it was happening on a pretty regular basis. Not this bad, but this whole week it was. So there was a day, right? I worked all day. The plant that we were working at was about, if it wasn't 100 years old, it could have been. Right? So it kept shutting down all the time. So what happens when the plant shuts down is that everything gets extended. Right? The driver's day gets extended, the manager's day gets extended. They don't have a night manager, you're just on call. So I worked all day, and then as the night wore on, the plant shut down again. I had to talk to the second shift. Basically, it was called a spotter. He basically takes the trailer out of the door, like at 9 or 10 o'clock. I started working that day, at 7 o'clock. I didn't work after I left at 4 or 5, whatever. I'm sure it was closer to 5. I'm not saying I worked all the way through, but I'm still taking calls at 9 or 10 o'clock. That's kind of normal. Then at 2:30 the line breaks down again, and the drivers start calling, or a driver called me and said, hey, they're shut down here. So I called the owner of the company at 2:30 in the morning, to ask him exactly how he wants to handle it. And he says, well, I need you to text all the drivers and tell them not to come in. So all these drivers that are expecting to come in at at 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, whatever, in the morning, I have to text them all and say, hey, don't come in. We're going to extend your day out towards God knows whenever they get the plant running. The plant had just been shut down for 2 or 3 days just a week before. And these drivers don't get paid for any of that, you know? But we just can't understand why people are leaving. So I text all the drivers at 3 o'clock in the morning. That probably takes to 4 o'clock in the morning. At 5:30, I get another phone call saying, hey, the plant shut down again, so I have to rearrange some more stuff. And then they say they get it running. I call a couple people in. It shuts down again. It shuts down again. And by this time, I'm at work. And that guy that I'm working with is starting to complain. I've worked that whole day, most of the night. Now I'm there for the next day, right? He just had to work that day, you know? And he starts complaining. Well, maybe you should have done this, and maybe you should have done this. You can't curse on YouTube, so I'll just say that I decided to leave. You know, I wasn't going to do it anymore. I didn't know about DoorDash. If I would have known about DoorDash, I would have left way before then. That wasn't the worst situation I've had in the last year. That's how bad some of these situations are. At least I guess this other reputable company was trying to be upfront about how horrible they are. Yeah, no, I'm not going to work 13 and a half hours on purpose when I could just drive around and deliver food for the same amount of money. Sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm not working all day, all night, the next day too, and getting a hard time about it. No, not doing that either. I'll just deliver food. And then the other company, another company I work for, yeah, this is a true story. You ever, and I'm not saying this company was exactly like this, but on a different subject, we'll say. You ever seen The Sopranos? Do you remember when they were dumping asbestos in the lake? That's, you know, breaking the law. We'll just say that TV shows get their ideas from real life. That's all I'm going to say about that. So if you're wondering, world, if you're wondering, corporations, why people are quitting their jobs, why you see so many guys with white hair doing DoorDash, that's why. You guys, I made a whole video about this. You guys have already, the DoorDashers in the world that get such a hard time, I think you guys have already changed the world. Because you guys are not willing to take these restaurant jobs paying, well, now they pay $15 an hour, $13 an hour, $14 an hour. But they didn't used to even pay that. They used to pay 10. 10 was good pay. You know, you guys, since you guys won't do them, you're doing stuff like this, and God knows what else. Nobody will do those jobs. You've already changed the world. You've already done what the politicians couldn't do, which is raise the minimum wage. The minimum wage is no longer, whatever it is it $10 now? Very few companies are hiring for $10 an hour. The least amount I see is about 13, and like I've said many times, I see 60 for fast food. So, but that's why. I mean, that's why we're at. That's why we're where we are at. These corporations. I'm not saying they're all like this. I'm looking for a job right now. So obviously I don't feel like they're all like this. I worked for one for a long time that wasn't near this bad. But that's where these corporations are. We want to make you work as long as we possibly can. 13 and a half hours a day. Are you kidding me? That's what you got set up as a schedule. The other place, we want you to work all day. We want you to be on call all night. And I left out one part about that job. Oh yeah, you got to work weekends too. No, I think I'll deliver food. Thank you very much. Yeah. That's why you see a 55-year-old guy that's so willing to go to McDonald's and pick up a Big Mac and take it down the street and deliver it. Yeah, that's why. Yeah. If I'm going to work weekends, I want to get paid extra for it. You know, I want to make money, more money than I would have made working Monday through Friday. That's a heck of a concept, huh? I've got a job interview today. I don't want to sound like I'm that much of a rebel, but I am a rebel a little bit. Everybody that does DoorDash is a little bit of a rebel. We are rebelling against these companies that just think that they can treat us any way, make us work for any amount of hours, for the least amount of money possible, and then what they want us to do on top of all that, they want us to thank them for it. They want us to give them all the appreciation in the world and give us as little as they possibly can. Because you know why they do that? You know why they want to give you as little appreciation as they can? Let me tell you exactly why. Because then you'll expect what? More money. You know, and then they want to cut the benefits to the bone. You know, most health insurance plans are way high deductible and that, and they have gotten real expensive. I'll even give them a little break on that. But, like, I haven't had health insurance going on, it's been a while, and I haven't missed it, not even a little bit. How many times a year do we really go to the doctor? What health insurance plans have become are disaster insurance, like if you have a stroke or a heart attack or something like that. You know, that's what you're insuring against now, because you're paying all the rest of it yourself because they have such high deductibles. That's a whole different rant. But I just need to tell you about my job interview. I need to do it for my own sanity. Yeah. May I ask you to schedule this, please? Oh, what's that called? Work-life balance? No, we don't have that here. We want you to come in about 5:30 in the morning, please. And we'd like you to work to, 7 o'clock at night. What? Are you crazy? You haven't been reading anything? You haven't watched the news? I don't watch the news. I do not watch the news because it's all bad news, right? But even I know that people are not doing that stuff anymore. People quit their jobs because companies are making them just come into the office at all. I just worked 13 and a half hours there. And then, other companies flat out lie to you and say, yeah, you can do a hybrid. You can come in, work half the day in the office and work half the day at home. You meant like work 10 hours in the office and work 10 hours at home. Oh, thank you, but no, I think I'd rather, go to the Cheesecake Factory and pick up some cheesecake and, take it somewhere and put it in front of somebody's door and take a picture of it and make the same amount of money. But thank you very much. I appreciate your time.